Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. Continuing on with our more in-depth analysis of Investor Day, we get to hear about what Tesla are doing with charging. Charging is one of the major positives of an electric car, but can also be one of the biggest negatives. The convenience of charging at your own home and not having to regularly visit gas stations is almost priceless. But there is actually also the price of the savings that we get from charging rather than paying for gas. Literally savings of over thousands of dollars a year, depending on your location and the amount of driving you do. Then, over that time you own the vehicle, if it's 5 years or so, it can be well over a $10,000 saving. Anyway, there are still some disadvantages with charging. It does admittedly take much longer than filling up with gas. Of course, if you have a home charger, then you should just be charging at night, and your car will have charge during the day for likely over 99% of most people's trips. So therefore, charging really should be only any type of hassle if you're driving more than, say, 250 miles in a day, and might need to charge elsewhere. However, most likely you need a break from driving after perhaps 4 hours or so anyway. So you can hopefully stop for a quick snack and drink and bathroom break, and then you likely have enough charge until you arrive at your destination, where there will likely be charging capabilities there. So in theory, it's only the occasional long distance drive where you have to even think about not charging at home. Except the real issue is not the 20-minute or so wait for it to charge, but the fact that when you do this long distance drive, it might be on a holiday weekend, and everyone else also chose to do it as well, and now you have to wait a couple of hours in a queue for another charger. Fortunately, you can still watch Netflix in the car whilst you wait, but this is still an inconvenience. So what are Tesla doing to avoid wait times? Well, they have Trip Planner, which means due to vehicle side data and site data, they're able to route vehicles towards available sites and away from congested sites, so they can balance site utilization. Tesla have the lowest deployment cost, 20 to 70% lower than other chargers. Tesla install and operate all their own sites. As a result, they are extending their excellence in how they build supercharger sites. Tesla are now pre-building the superchargers before they're even on site, which is saving weeks of install time and a further 12% in cost. Tesla need to improve the infrastructure still, as Teslas become more popular, and along with other EVs which are also now able to use Tesla superchargers, then Tesla need more chargers to maintain or improve the electric driving experience. Tesla have actually managed to reduce average supercharger site time by 30%, despite all the additional Tesla drivers. And as many people also noticed at the presentation, there was a potential hidden Easter egg. We are told that Tesla still want to add incredible charging experiences, and in the slide, we're shown a cool diner where you can go whilst waiting for your car to charge, but next to that is another image that many people think it appears like Tesla are showing a wireless charging facility, which is obviously super cool and really makes you start to think of potential applications there. Aside from not having to worry about plugging your car in at home, just think about any other car park you might park in, whether at a supermarket or whatever, and you can just get an additional charge that more convenient. And although it does look like there's a little distance between the charger and the vehicle, supposedly some credible people in the community seem to think that it is possible to charge wireless like that. Next, we move on to supply chains for Tesla and how they work. We're told what separates them from traditional automotive manufacturers is that Tesla is not buying off-the-shelf components. They are instead designed specifically for Tesla. This is partly due to the fact that with electric vehicles, a lot of supply chain simply doesn't exist. Tesla will go to their suppliers and stay with the suppliers for weeks or months, if necessary, to do the line render, and then improve it further in efficiencies and yields. Tesla is managing every detail of their supply chain and are so integrated with their partners, and they know any issues in real time and the health of their suppliers. We're shown how many Tier 1 parts are required from suppliers for the various products, and Tesla have reduced from 3,400 for the S and X to just 2,100 Tier 1 parts for the 3 and Y. Then we would expect a further significant jump for the next-gen vehicle, maybe down to something like 1,500. All of this makes logistics so much easier too, something that Tesla have also had issues with entering their supply chain hell when COVID really changed the game. It was a difficult experience, but Tesla managed to learn a lot about controlling supply chains. Tesla managed to grow production volumes, whilst the rest of the industry was struggling, especially the way Tesla navigated around the chip shortages at the time. But this is when Tesla wasn't even delivering 1 million units a year. How will they then grow to 20 million? Tesla uses 4 times more silicon content than a regular ICE vehicle, mainly due to the FSD capabilities. At a run rate of 1.8 million vehicles a year, Tesla are consuming 0.5% of the global wafer capacity, which I thought is actually already a reasonable amount. In order to get to 20 million vehicles a year, Tesla will go from 700,000 12-inch wafers a year to 8 million, which is quite an increase. However, the industry is estimated to increase almost 50% over that time by 2030. Tesla will, however, be consuming 5% of the global capacity by that stage. That is quite a large proportion of the market share, but it does show that there will be enough capacity of silicon wafers in order for Tesla to scale to 20 million, i.e. they're not going to be a limiting factor. We're then told about the heat pump. To improve the line, Tesla created a 3D simulation of a new automated line. So they were able to simulate a production line and how it worked first before building it. They could go through all the complex assemblies and processes in making the part. It seems like this would make life so much easier in working out how to produce various components. This meant they were able to go from a manual line to a semi-automated line, and then, with the simulation, reach a fully automated line in less than 8 months. It resulted in a 99% reduction in labour, from 1,000 associates down to just 10. The heat pump quality went up dramatically too. The heat pump factories are now the size of 2 football fields apparently, and as a result, produce one every 7 seconds, which would be about 4.5 million a year at that rate, plenty more than enough for Tesla's current vehicle run rate. They don't go into detail on it, but you would imagine that they use these 3D simulations throughout many other production lines, possibly already running the Cybertruck production line with a simulation, maybe 4680 lines. But not only that, any new ideas they have for production lines, they can first simulate, rather than implementing and thus working out if it's an improvement, more efficient, lower cost, high output, more automated, rather than actually setting up the line first. This must vastly improve their pace of manufacturing. And as Elon tells us, eventually Tesla's core strength will end up being manufacturing. Hence why we see the levels they go in order to improve it. Why is this so important? Well, especially as we're seeing labour costs increasing, then further automating processes or removing them altogether removes labour, which is obviously a huge expense. And to see that they managed to remove 99% of the labour required from the manual heat pump line to the fully automated line is absolutely insane. And this is Tesla's objective still. In fact, it was for the Model 3, to have a fully automated line, except they jumped the gun too early and the Model 3 was designed too much around looks rather than manufacturing, and ended up running into the infamous production hell. But this is the intended purpose of Master Plan Part 3, scaling. Remove as much labour as possible and increase automation with more out-of-the-box manufacturing solutions with fewer parts and processes. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.